Hi everyone, I'm the Plant Propagator and welcome to my channel. I am back from the show with my plants and I'm backed up. I got a lot of work to do on these guys, so when I bring the plants into the show, they're all intermingled with all the other plants. So what I have to do today is put them in my driveway and spray them off. So I'll apply a pretty weak insecticide to make sure they're, you look at some of the flowers at the show and they showed some thrip damage, and I just want to make sure that none of the insects that other people brought to the show that may have come onto my plants make it out to the rest of the plants in my collection. So I've got a lot of stuff to do. I've got to put everything back where it went. I may have to do some repotting on some of them. Anyway, so I got a lot of work to do, and they were inside in pretty dry environment, low light, for I think 4 days. So they really need to get back out where they belong, and so that they can, get their growth back on. What I wanted to do though is share with you some of the results of that show and sale earlier this week. And these are some of the plants, not all of them. I brought, I think, 8 plants in, and then a poster which is behind me, and I actually got a lot of awards for those plants that I did bring in. When you get awards, what happens is the American Orchid Society judges, they go around and they look at the different orchids, and they award them first, second, and third place based on what class they're in. So when they go in, they get registered, and then they get separated into their classes so that you can judge similar. The best thing to do, the fairest thing to do, is to judge similar orchids that belong in the same class. So these, this is in a different class from this, and a different class from that, I did have 2 of my orchids competing against each other in the same class, which was okay, and I've got some interesting results that I can share with you on that. But what happens before the AOS judges go through, the individual AOS judges, and I should say when they go through, they go through in groups or teams. I think there are 4 AOS judges in a team, and then there are clerks, essentially helpers from the local Orchid Society that go along with them, and they do the record keeping and they put the tags on the plants. Before the AOS judges go out, they each are given some silver tags, and they go around through all the orchids, and they can put these, they're gold tags. They can put these gold tags on plants that they feel should be considered for the highest level of AOS judging. So they judge all the plants, all of the, they judge the poster, the tabletop displays, the artistic displays, they judge everything. But then the plants are also judged separately. And so everything is judged, and you've got these AOS judges that have had many years experience in training before they can serve as a judge. So again, lots of training that goes into this, and they go through and they're the ones that make the final decision. So I am happy that I got a lot of ribbons on my plants. Yay! And some of those I wanted to share with you today. So the first one that I want to share is this one right here, and this is Chia Lin, and this is a plant that I've had for quite a few years. It's a really dark burgundy cattleya, and it bloomed a few days before the show. The problem with this is that even though the flowers are just beautiful, they were big, they were fresh, the flowers are very heavy. It's an older hybrid, so the flowers were on what I consider to be a weak flower spike, and then over time what happened is that flower spike kept on going further down and down, so I had to stake this. During the meeting, I had to stake this flower up, and I think during the process the flower might have been damaged a little, and it's a problem because it's kind of leaning down a little bit when that happens, but still I got a first place ribbon on this orchid that was in this class. So I was pretty excited about that. Now what I'm going to do with this orchid, and as well as a few others, is now that the show is over, I'm gonna put some pollinia, and I'm gonna hybridize it. You couldn't do that before the show because after you hybridize these orchids, the flower fades very quickly. So, but today or tomorrow at the latest, I have to hybridize. I got a real dark Cattleya that I want to hybridize onto this real dark Cattleya to see what I get, to see what comes up with that. Okay, one of the other ones that I have is over here. This one is Plum Pit Glory, and the cultivar on this is Sunshine. And this opened right before the show. It's perfect timing. It opened up right before the show, and I'm happy I can't reach over, but you should be able to see the blue ribbon hanging off the edge of the table. This also got first place in the category. It got put in a category because I thought, based on the images that I've seen, that this was going to be a yellow, but it's yellow, it's bronze, it's a few others that are in the same category, and this is now darkened a little bit over, since it first opened, and so now it's really turning a lot darker in color. It doesn't matter, but been in the same class. Beautiful flower, really fragrant. It's my first bloom on this plant. The other thing is that there are some additional bloom spikes coming out on Plum Pit Glory. So this is a nice plant. The only problem with this plant was that I left it, I thought it was a little bit too green, so I moved it into a little sunnier location, and I burned some of the leaves and parts of the leaves, and I had to cut those off before the show, but that's okay. It still did well. I got to figure out what I want to use this for breeding, and the flowers still look really good, so I can use this. And I've got other flowers coming on this plant, unlike Chia Lin, that I got to pollinate it pretty soon because the flowers look like they've been kind of bent over and they're fading quickly. I got to stake it up well and pollinate it right away. I've got a few that I didn't get awards for, and that's fine. Moving on over here, this is my poster, and I don't know if you can tell, I don't know if you can read if your screen's big enough, but it's a plant biotechnology poster, and I worked in the area of plant biotechnology at my university for 35 years. I know the area really well, and it's a fairly complex poster that I think I simplified. So I have in the poster, talks about cloning. I brought in some of my cloned plant tissue, both in dishes and a liquid culture in flask. I showed how they grow. I talked about the next sections on DNA sequencing, and I actually brought in a vanilla orchid, which is one of the orchid genomes that has been sequenced. So I threw that in there, and I talk about genetic engineering in orchids and genome editing in orchids. And I didn't get that many comments on it. I think, because I worked in the area for so many years, I got into good detail, but I made it simple, and I'm not sure, I might have overdone it a little bit, which is what I tend to do. All right, so my poster, I don't know if you can tell, my poster also got a first place, and my poster got a first place, and there were no other educational posters that were presented at this meeting, which is not unusual, but I'm happy to have presented it, and I'm happy to have gotten a blue ribbon for my poster. All right, moving on, I've got a few more I want to share with you. This is Brasidium Kenneth Bivin, and I've shared this with you in the past. This plant, there were not too many entries in the class. So when I was at the at the show helping to bring orchids in, I noticed that there were I don't know if there were none or just a few entries. So I actually ran home and got this. This had a monarch chrysalis on it. So the day of the registration for the meeting, the monarch emerged, and I got word that the monarch emerged, so I ran home here and took the butterfly that had where its wings were expanding, hung it up on my pool cage, grabbed this plant, brought it in, and I got there were other ones in the category, but I got a first place for this orchid in this category, and then I got a special ruffled ribbon on this one, which was really nice, because I think it said it was an oncidium outside of Oncidium alliance, but outside Oncidium and one other genus in the family. So anyway, I got a nice frilly ribbon on that, and when you get a frilly ribbon like that, oftentimes you get a cash award. So I got a cash award for this plant too, which was an afterthought after I had already gone in and brought most of my plants into the show. Down here is, and I think you can see it, is Dick Smith, Paradise. And what you can't see and what I'm not going to show you is this thing is starting to fade really, really fast. So it opened a few days before the show, and I'm looking at this, and a lot of the pollinia and anthercaps got knocked off of this plant. I'm not sure when. Maybe because people were reaching down in there, maybe because it just wasn't meant to be. But I don't even have that many pollinia left. I'm looking at them, most of them are gone. I got one left right here and maybe another one right, probably, no, that one's gone. That one's gone. No, that's there. All right. So I don't have many left. So this went downhill very quickly, but during its peak, it was an amazing plant. It was just loaded, full of color. I did videos on, highlighting this plant before. So if you want to take a look at it in its peak, you can take a look at one of my older videos. This plant got a 3rd place in the category, but the interesting thing about it is this is the golden ribbon right here. It says AOS nomination on this ribbon. And what that means is that this gets pulled into the room and the American Orchid Society judges look at it for a potential AOS award. Dick Smith, I don't think has ever received an AOS award, but it was about a week to 10 days past the peak. I'm not sure why I didn't ask them. I'm not sure why it didn't get an AOS award. It was nominated, but it didn't get an AOS award. But still, it's a beautiful plant. Lots of people taking pictures of it, smelling it. But I mean, right now it's really looking ratty. And I got to do, as far as doing crosses on this plant, I got to do it real quickly. The thing about this plant is I had to put it in a big pot because the pot that it's in, it was falling over. So this really needs to be repotted. And what that means, and I'm not going to divide it, I'm just going to pull it out and put it in a bigger pot. Less shock, and which means next year, if it blooms about this time, which would be great, there's hopefully going to be a lot more blooms than what we're seeing this year. I was excited to bring it in, 3rd place in the category, but I was real excited because it's an honor just to be nominated for an AOS award. Okay, moving on, there's a few other plants, but there's one more plant that I want to share with you, and that's this one, which is Amazing Thailand. And I've shared this with you in the past as well. This plant is a few years old. This is always a great plant. I love this plant. The flowers are incredibly colorful, where there's flaring. It's dark yellow on lighter yellow. There's some raspberry coloration in the petals. The lip it gradates from orange to red, and the color of the flower changes over time. This was in the same category as Dick Smith. This got 1st place in the category, which was the flared novelty cattleyas, splash petal, things like that. This category, again, had tough competition from Dick Smith, but there were some other really beautiful orchids that were in this category. And the thing about this plant, it also got nominated for AOS. So it also has, on this part, it also has a gold tag that says AOS nomination. And I didn't know exactly what was involved with this. I wasn't around when the judges were putting the AOS nomination tags on this, but this got pulled in for judging in front of AOS, but I didn't think it was going to do anything. The flowers had been open for a couple of weeks. It's a little bit, the only one that was perfect timing is Plum Pit Glory. Everything else was kind of bloomed a little too early. It was too old, but Amazing Thailand it got pulled in a little bit late. The other thing on this is that I've got this flower right here. It's a fused flower. So there's 2 flowers that when they came out, they didn't separate, so they got fused together. They merged, which is not good. This flower, I don't know if you can tell, it's bending over a bit, which is not a good. So I've got kind of a freak flower here where two are fused together. The other flower in that group is bending over. There is another flower that's in spikes, so it's got some other stuff coming out. The other thing on this is there's a seed capsule. I pollinated it. There's a seed capsule on it, so it's like I'm bringing the plant in just because I want to share the flower with everyone. I'm kind of wondering, if I should have cut off this fused flower, because it really detracts from the other flower. So what I did is it got positioned in the display area with the three nice flowers that were a little older facing out. But what happened is the judges brought it in, they looked at it, maybe it was late in the day and they were tired for whatever reason. I got one of these white pieces of paper, and this is a big deal. This is my second AOS award. I haven't been growing orchids for that long, but this was, from the first one that I got, I learned how big a deal it was. So I think there were about 350 orchids that were brought in to the show, and I think there might have been maybe 5 to 10 at the most orchids that got an AOS award. A lot of the displays did for some reason, but as far as individual plants, I think there were probably closer to 5 orchids. Maybe as high as 10, but I don't know. So this is a real surprise, and it was real exciting for me. This got an award of merit. So all of the AOS awards are given a numerical rating, and this got an 84. Which is good, which is really good. And it has a description of this, you get this nice certificate, but the other thing is that you get to name your orchid. So this is Amazing Thailand, the cultivar's rainbow, but the rainbow cultivar designation was not assigned by the American Orchid Society. I think it was assigned by the breeder or the producer of this plant. So it's a different thing. And then what happens with Amazing Thailand is you have a bunch of different, even the cultivar designation, the rainbow designation, you can have a little bit of a different flower color depending on where they come from. So what happened here was interesting. There was a little bit of discussion. When you get an AOS award, when you get the award of merit, but any AOS award, you can name your plant. You assign a cultivar designation. And there was a question, because it's already got the cultivar designation, which is rainbow. Can I assign a cultivar designation in place of that for this plant in any clones or divisions of this plant? And they had a little mini meeting and decided that yes, I could. Again, this is from Thailand, so the breeders or the cloners in Thailand gave this that designation, but I named this Finer Flare. So this is Amazing Thailand Finer Flare, and I'm just really happy and pleased. Again, not too many people get these things. I save these. The ribbons I don't save. The ribbons are going back to the society to give to somebody else. But I do save these because this is only my second one. But it's a real honor to get these from the American Orchid Society and to have your plant awarded. Now I've got progeny right there coming. I actually have progeny from this plant, and it also that are in the laboratory, seedlings that are pretty small that are going to be ready to come out soon. It elevates the stature of those seedlings because those came now. As of 2 days ago, those seedlings now come from an awarded plant. So it's all pretty exciting, it's exciting, and it's interesting, and I'm just pleased and honored to be part of this. And again, I need to become more familiar with the process because I don't really understand it completely. So over the next, at the next show when it comes up, I'm going to volunteer to assist the judges so I can see what they're thinking and what they're looking at, because it really helps me figure out how I should bring these to the show, how I should present them at the meeting, but maybe at the shows, but also how I should present these to you and what people are looking for. All right, sorry, long video. As you can tell, I'm pretty excited. I got a lot. I got to clean these guys up, put them back. I got a lot to do today. Better time to get on it. All right, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did and you want to keep on seeing them, it would help me out if you can click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. All right, once again, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and happy propagating.